Hey, what's up, guy? My name is Jean-Marc and I live in the wonderful city of Paris in France. Welcome to this video about this little guy right here, and this is a Dorman quick disconnect. So this kind of connector are used to connect the fuel line to the fuel rail or to the fuel pump or to the fuel filter. This kind of connector is used by Chrysler, Ford and GM, and so the part number is 800 120 for the 516, and this is 800 121 for the 38. So before we get into it, let me tell you the full story and why I am here today, losing my time trying to fix this little guy right here. So last week I decided to make a injector service on my car. So to do the injector service, you have to remove the fuel rail from the engine, and to remove the fuel rail from the engine you have to disconnect the fuel line to the fuel rail. So I did my injector service. I removed the micro basket into the injector. I cleaned everything, put new O-rings on the injector, put everything back in place, and the last thing I had to do was to connect the fuel line to the fuel rail. So I put the fuel line back in place. I turn the key on, check if everything was okay. Everything was okay, so I turned the engine on, and I found I had a small leak on the connector. So I was quite surprised, because it's not the first time I removed this this connector from the fuel rail, and every time it was okay. I put back and I have no leak. So yeah, I was quite surprised and embarrassed. So I turned the key off and I disconnect one more time the fuel line from the fuel rail, and everything popped out from this connector. And so I found that I had a damaged O-ring, so I damaged the O-ring, but I know why I damaged this O-ring, and also this little plastic part right here came out of the connector. So sorry, I'm French, I don't know how to call this. Maybe it's a plastic spacer or stuff like that. So now I know what happened. So I noticed that I had a little scratch on my fuel rail, and now I know why I have this scratch on the fuel rail, because the fucking mechanic guy who's been working on my car removed this connector from the fuel rail, but he did not use, the tool that you use to push the clip inside. So I don't know how did he remove the connector, but he must have been using a screwdriver or something, and then he's been pushing hard on the connector, and he did remove the connector, but he broke or damaged, or I don't know what he's been doing, but this metal retainer clip was missing on my connector, and also this plastic part right here that keeps the two O-rings in place was also missing. So this fucking mechanic guy is a fucking crazy people. He put everything back together, or I don't know, he put the retainer clip, and then he thought it was okay, but it wasn't okay. This connector was slightly leaking, but I did not notice, and there was no smell of fuel or whatever. So After that, I try to find some information on this connector on YouTube. I found some, but okay, I did not find information on how, you know, where to put the O-ring, where to put this plastic spacer, and how it was, you know, built inside. So that's the reason why I'm here today, sharing my experience with you guys on this connector. So okay, now let me show you how it's inside. So you have two O-ring, this spacer right here. Okay, let me show you this way. So the first O-ring is the black or the brown O-ring. So I found some of them were black. Then you have this this spacer right here. Then you have the last O-ring is the yellow O-ring. I don't know why they have different color, but I guess it's because they have different hardness. And then after that you have this plastic washer that is insert into the connector housing, and this washer, you know, keeps everything in place and avoid the O-ring to pop out when you disconnect the connector from the fuel rail or the fuel pump or whatever. And then the last part is this metal retainer clip. So this is how it's built inside. Okay, so in order to be able to remove those two O-rings and everything from the connector, yeah, it's not an easy job. So I ordered two connector on eBay, part number 800-120, and it's $6 something, and I placed the order last Friday, and I received the connector today from the US, so I was quite happy about that. Okay, so once you receive the connector, you have to figure out how to take the O-rings out, and also this plastic part. So this is the tricky part of the job, and yeah, this is really not easy. I mean, it's very easy to damage the O-ring or the plastic part. They are very fragile, so that's why I ordered two of these connector. So I've been cutting right here on the edge. Then from the inside you are able to push, you know, this plastic part right here and the O-ring without damaging it. And on the other connector I've been cutting you know, right here. Then I have been able to take this O-ring out without any damage. And so after you cut the connector, don't throw the part out. Keep them, because you will need those parts to put the O-rings and the spacer back into the housing. So this is very important. Okay, so to now let me show you how to put the O-rings and the spacer back into the housing of the connector. So okay, imagine this part is your connector on the fuel line. So sorry, I'm not going to use this O-ring because this one is brand new and I don't want to damage it. So I'm going to use this yellow O-ring that is already you know, slightly damaged. So this is just to show you guys how I made it. So if you put the O-ring here and you try to put it, you know, like this, in this way, because the o-ring size is, you know, bigger than so the o-ring, sorry, the o-ring diameter is bigger than the diameter of the housing. So you cannot put it, you know, with a screwdriver or stuff like that without damaging it. So you have to find something that, you know, get into the connector. So the best thing is to use, you know, the end of the connector. So you cut it, then you put the washer. Okay, you put the o-rings, and then of course don't forget to put a lot of oil, you know, around the o-rings. Then it slide into the housing much more easy. So this is very very important. So put the washer, put the o-ring, and then put everything together, and then you push. Yeah, it's quite hard, but now the o-ring is in place. Yeah, I hope you can see, o-ring is in place, spacer is also in place. So now you have to remove this little tool I have made, and then now you have the first o-ring in place, you have the washer, then you have to do the same thing for the second o-ring. So you need another washer, because without the washer the o-ring won't get into its place. So you need the washer to push on the o-ring. If you don't do this, you will, you know, damage the o-ring. So you put the second o-ring. So yeah, you put the second o-ring, but you have to glue this washer on this little tool right here, because if you put the o-ring and then you put the washer, then this washer will stay in, and you don't want this washer to stay in. So you have to you know, to find a way to put the washer without this o-ring. Okay, so now you have the first o-ring, the washer, the second o-ring. The last part you have to put back is this plastic washer. You know, if you look right here, this little tool right here is, you know, everything is at the same level. So when I push, you know, in, this little tool won't damage the o-ring. And oops. Okay, so put the washer, put it everything, and then you have to push here really hard to, you know, put the plastic washer in place. And after that you should be good to go. So this is how I you know, repair my Dorman quick disconnect. So there are two options. So the first option is you do the same as me. I mean, you buy some connector, you remove the o-ring, stuff like that. Or the second option is you build a new fuel line. But I decided to repair the connector, because I already have the, you know, a fuel line coming from the bottom of the car. So okay, it was no need to set up a new fuel line, and the you know, the connector from the fuel line are quite expensive. And okay, I prefer to repair it by myself, by changing the o-ring. So keep in mind that you must know, you know, what you are doing. If you don't know what you are doing, just don't do it, because working on the fuel line could be very dangerous. I mean, this connector is right above the exhaust collector on the side of the engine. So never work on the fuel line if the engine is hot. Always work on the cold engine, because you know, small leak can turn into a huge disaster. Also, always have an extinguish unit near you and ready to use. And please, if you don't know what you are doing, just don't do it, because this can be very very dangerous. So I hope you enjoy this video, and if you are watching this video, it's because you might be in the same situation as me. So feel free to ask me any question on how to repair those Dorman quick disconnect. Okay, thank you, bye bye.